All right. Here we go again. Hey there, pretty kitties, and welcome to Mizzicatoween Gaming. Here we are again. Um, this is pretty much the view we're going to be in the entirety of today. So you have much of the cat cam. We'll see if anybody actually shows up other than Hermes. Actually, Socks and Mona are up in the tree. You can kind of see Soxy. You can see Mona up there being a grumpy. Can't see Soxy in the side panel, but she's asleep anyway. So, today's the painting stream. I'm so excited. Um, we're gonna do a bunch of painting today, and I'm gonna put gloves on because yes. But we have a whole ass haunted house that we're gonna paint today. That's what we're gonna start with. I have a few other things too, just to make sure that the diorama could actually be finished on the. Because originally, my original idea, I wasn't gonna do a statue every day. I was going to paint. I was gonna have a painting stream where I painted everything, and then we would see the diorama in the background the rest of the time. I had a suggestion to make it into a thing, like a daily thing, which I love, but I have too many things to actually get it all done if I do that way. So today we're just going to paint the haunted house and a few other small things, and then the rest of them are the big things we've been working on. In case you weren't there for last time we painted this absolutely horrific black glitter ghost. There's glitter everywhere after that. So, but as always, the first thing that we shall do is our cat toy advent type calendar, cat toy Halloween calendar. The first day was a spider with cute little string legs, and the second day was a pumpkin, nice little Halloween pumpkin. So today is day 3. So let's see what they have in store for us today, shall we? Well, there's multiple. Wait. Oh. It is. Okay. All right. Hold on. It's an eyeball. You see our little eyeball on a string, like a springy thing. I can tell you from my cats, they can snap this in like 3.5 seconds, but we can play with it, and it's crinkly. It's got some crinkles. Does not smell like nip. I think that's okay. Oh, somebody heard the crinkling though. Hey, you want the eyeball? Oh, we like that. Yeah. Do we like the eyeball? Oh, Mom, give that to me. What about you, Hermes? You like it? Ooh. This is the winner already. Oh yeah, we want that. Ooh, it's hanging. We like those danglies. Ooh. All right. I think this one, instead of flinging it into the hall as I usually do, I think I will keep this one with me. Because if I give it to them, they'll drag it off and chew up the string. So we'll play with it a little bit more later. He looks so betrayed. All right. So we're gonna get into some painting. So we're gonna paint as long as we. Apparently, I don't know who knows. I just heard his idle voice line. Oh yeah. We're gonna paint until either my arm gives out or I get all the statues done. Depending on what time it is when that is done, then we may try to reset. We may try to do some game stuff. If I have extra time, I'll do a World of Horror run because it seems appropriate. Tomorrow we're gonna be gaming again. It's just today, the better ways to find a battle besides just standing here. Well, I mean, he is a grump, so child's a grump. So we're gonna start, and how we're gonna do this is I'm gonna hold this up and work on it. I'm gonna hold it up while I'm working on it. That's how we're gonna do the paint cam. And pretty much for the rest of the time, I tried to do something different, but if I had taken the paint cam down and put it facing, like, there would be no cat cam at all. And I know that I don't have to have cat cam every day. But this is Mizzicat Gaming, and we have to have cat cam every day. Like, I almost sacrificed this cam to make sure there was cat cam. So, speaking of cats, we have Hermes, the grumpy. I know. Ooh. We'll see how long he stays with us. So, I think... Oh, I forgot to grab my paints. I have many paints. Let's see. So, let's see if we can grab some not glitter strings today. We have a little bit less glitter paint going on, just because it's a lot of cleanup afterwards. So, we definitely want all of these strings. There's so much orange, because I got 3 Halloween sets, and there's so much orange. And then I think for the glitter, I'm just going to leave out this string for glitter accents, because we don't want to get too crazy with the glitter today, because we got crazy with the glitter yesterday. Need I remind you, Ghost is like solid glitter. So, let's not do that again, shall we? Okay, so we're going for a creepy vibe. We wanted to go with a creepy vibe for the house. So I think that we will do a darker roof. If I can just get this paint open. Sparkly ghost like a vampire. Sure, sure. And we're going to put on our gloves. Because I will reiterate that I am allergic to latex. And these are latex paints. And if I don't put gloves on before I paint, my hands are going to itch for the rest of the day. Because that was the first day. I didn't put gloves on. And my hands were itchy the rest of the day. And it was the worst. So we're going to not do that this time. So I think we could do like a red brick roof, actually. And do like... Because there's some accent stuff like on the sides of this too. We got a bat. Actually, I can... We do want that paint open. The black. Because I think I want to do that bat. In the black. Brush that's a little bit smaller. I did go out and buy a new set of brushes just because the brushes that come with these kits are really terrible. Like... The one that came with this house was literally bent and almost bent in half. So we don't trust them to actually give us decent brushes. So, what are we going to talk about today? Several things, probably. I think that Mizzicatoween is actually going pretty well so far. I mean, we're definitely only 3 days in. But it feels super fun. And I still have plenty of sour candy for follows and subs. I think the first day was a little bit hard. Like, I don't do well with super spoopy stuff. So, first day with Phasmophobia was a little bit difficult for me, but I also think that it was good to do because it's not something I typically do on the channel. We're gonna need a smaller paintbrush to do those edges. I did enjoy World of Horror yesterday. I've gotten a lot better at that game, it feels like. Feels like I've gotten pretty good at not dying / choosing options that don't immediately cause my character to go insane. And I think that that was part of it. When I first played it, I thought that I needed to choose stats instead of going for the raw heals. And on the particular difficulty that I'm playing on, Skeptic difficulty, the raw heals are actually gonna give you more in the long run. A little bat. A little spoopy bat. I think we don't really have red. If I wanted to do the roof in red, I don't really have that. I don't understand. I guess it's because it's supposed to be friendly. But none of the kits really have red as a color. So the glitter paint I got has red. But the other ones do not. So, and I do not want to do a red glitter paint roof. I think that would be excessive even for me. Okay. I think we could do, well, I've been doing like greens and all that kind of stuff. We could do purple for the roof, like Mizzicat purple. Since purple and whatever, there's purple in Halloween stuff. So we could do Mizzicat purple for the roof. And then do like orange for the body of the house. I have some very vibrant orange. Or the other way around. I don't know which one would be better. I'm still thinking about it, but I think that the purple might, because the purple's kind of dark, so I think that the purple might actually be better on like the body of the house, because there's so many you can see. Here, I'll hold it up so you can see. There's like all these tombstones and pumpkins and ghosts and stuff. I feel like a darker color would help me to pop those out a little bit more. Black spooky bat. Rah. So let's do the roof. Because the house is going to be a little bit hard to hold while I'm doing the house because it'll be drying. So I can't really do the roof while the body of the house is drying. Not effectively. So while the body of the house is drying, we'll probably paint one of the other smaller figurines to give time for the house to dry. So let's do the roof. These are lighter color oranges. That's all well and good. We don't necessarily care about that. And the reason I got so many paints is just in case things were dried out. These paints have been actually really good. They haven't really been giving me a lot of issue, so... There we go. Alright. Still has a little bit of darkness mixed into it because of the black that we were working with before it, but I think that's alright. A little bit easier to work with than the glitter paint, just because the house paint and stuff like that gives, or the solid paints, or give a little bit better coverage. The glitter paints are great for accents, but they just don't give good coverage. I learned that with the ghost yesterday. So you're going to take what we learned yesterday and put it into practice. We're also going to drink some water in a second because not doing a game means I'm going to be talking a lot, and that means I need to hydrate. Hello, Otter. I know. Don't upset your brother, please. Sorry, that keeps clearing my throat. I just need to take a drink. Ah, much better. Okay. He's sitting on his face. Look at Hermes' face. I can't make this up. Like, I can't get them to do this stuff even if I wanted to. They do it themselves. With no encouragement from me whatsoever. I'm probably going to end up painting those chimneys black too, actually. So... Yeah, right? No, he's going to get up in a minute, and then Otter will sit there, because that's what happens. So, the spoops. I've got lots of spoops lined up. I've got lots of spoops lined up for the next... Oh, I don't know. 10 days. I'm still of the opinion that I might be slightly insane for streaming for 13 days without taking a break. And by Halloween, I'm going to be absolutely exhausted and still raring to go because Halloween is my favorite holiday. So we are definitely going to get... Oh, yeah, that looks really nice. Look how nice that looks. You can see the little ridges from the shingles. Oh, that's so cute. I do have one stray brush strand that is off to the side and is worrisome. This one right there. I don't mind if it's off and crazy. I just want it to be down and not have any paint on it. And we have to make sure that we do not put too much paint on our hands. I don't want to pick something up and then it's just covered in orange. So we definitely have some cute things to paint today. We get a Hermes cat to paint today. Cat with stripes. We have a Sophie / Otter cat. And then, let me see. So, I think that they gave me 2 black cats and a stripey. So, we may do some creative stuff with one of them to make it into a Hermes and turn the stripey into Socks and Mana. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that. The biggest thing is going to be making sure that I actually bring this up to me and paint with it, and I don't bend over trying to hunch over to reach something and hurt my back. Because we are not going to make it through a whole stream of me painting if I'm crunching myself up trying to paint. I think that's pretty good. I gotta do the edge down here. This front edge. Do that. We definitely want I might go through and do that on all sides because we definitely want this edge done for when we start working on the front of the house. I have a special brush for this. So I'm getting most of it with this bigger brush, and then I have a little edge brush that I can use that will actually help me get a nice line, which is one of the problems I had that first day with the tombstone. Okay. So I guess I could tell Halloween stories. I have a couple. My favorite Halloween costume. That's a good question. Let's just go ahead and answer it. My favorite Halloween costume that I ever had was actually, my grandmother had it at her house. And it was in my play closet. And to this day, I don't know where it came from. I suppose I could ask my uncle since it was in his basement stuff. But my favorite Halloween costume I've ever worn, it's a costume for a rabbit in a hat. And it was all one piece. The rabbit and the hat, they were attached. You had a big hat brim, black hat going down, and rabbit coming out of it. And I would wear it all the time. And you could actually, and I would shuffle up to somebody's house. And then I would duck down into the hat. I would ring the doorbell, and then I would duck down into the hat. And then when they opened the door, I would pop up out of the hat and say trick or treat. I think I wore it 3 or 4 times for Halloween. It's my favorite. A very close second would be the costume that my mom made me, which was Garfield. I had a Garfield costume, and she took stripes and sewed them onto tights so that my legs wouldn't be cold. and I would have stripes on my legs. And I remember that it had a tail, a big tail swinging on the back. Can you not assault your brother? Your grip is iron. You're like, no, I refuse. Get out of here. It's okay. You lay down. You're fine. So, and I know I'm not turning it too much right now, but that's because I'm trying to get this under this edge. So anyway, I would go up and I would trick or treat and whatever, and then people would come out and they're like, oh, you're so cute, and they would give me candy, and then I would very crossly, when I would turn around to leave, I'd be like, don't shut my tail in the door. Make sure you don't shut my tail in the door. Because it was a big tail, like, hanging out of the back. And she had put wire in it, so it actually had shape. It wasn't just hanging down. So that, I liked that costume a lot. That costume was super fun. And then there were a couple of times when I just put on, like, a cape. Went out as a superhero. I would always trick-or-treat in my grandmother's neighborhood. Because that's where the best candy was. That's where the best candy was. And I found that... I mean, this is an earlier time, right? Hi! Hi, Exic. Let me drink water so I'm not growling at you. Hello, and how are you doing? I appreciate you coming and hanging out while I try desperately to paint this haunted house without getting paint all over myself, / turning it into an absolute slapdash horror. Cosmec. Cos-Omec. Thank you. Cos-Omec. I will hopefully my brain will retain such things. My brain has a terrible, terrible habit of not actually retaining the information that I would like it to retain. That's very cosmic. Yes. It is. It's a really good song, actually. Which one is this one? Oh, yeah. So I would go out as a superhero, and I always went to my grandmother's neighborhood, right? My grandmother's neighborhood had the best candy. And there were better neighborhoods, but everybody in my grandmother's neighborhood knew me because I was always there, because I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house as a kid. So they would always give me extra candy. And the best part of the night was going back to grandma's house and dumping all of the candy onto the floor so that we could count what we had and what we had gotten and how good it was. So we've done this edge. We're doing all this underside so that we don't have terrible horrors when we try to do it from the top. And some of these places I'll have to go back through and touch up the edge with the edge brush, but that's fine. So let's get some more paint on the top. I think my favorite thing, there was a lady in my grandmother's neighborhood, and I mean, this is like, I did my 40th birthday stream like 2 weeks ago. So this is like the late 80s, and I am in my single digits. And there was a lady in my grandmother's neighborhood who gave out popcorn balls, because that was back when they had started talking about, you know, don't let your kids have unwrapped treats and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't understand any of that, and neither did the people in that neighborhood. So she would give out popcorn balls, and they were like as big as my fist, at least. And it was great because she always gave me 2. So I would have them to eat for like, oh, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, because my mom wouldn't let me eat them any faster than that, because I would just get hopped up on sugar and go crazy for like a day and a half after Halloween. Always. If school was the next day, I wasn't allowed to have my candy. I could like tally it out and see everything I got, but I wasn't allowed to eat any of it after trick-or-treating. And my grandmother would always make like candy apples and stuff like that. So I wanted candy, but I wasn't really allowed to have a lot of candy when I was a kid. So I didn't have a lot of really strong opinions about candy, except Twizzlers. So funny. A lot of people hate licorice, red and black licorice. Um, Even from an early age, I absolutely love Twizzlers, and I've always loved Twizzlers. So it was the only candy I had a strong opinion about was Twizzlers. And whenever there were times when my sister, because it was very, we're gonna grab a handful of candy and throw it in your bag. So there were times when my sister would get Twizzlers and I would get Butterfingers, which she really liked. Um, yep. So I would get, we would swap. We would do a bunch of swapping. And my mom, because we're at grandma's house, right? We still have to drive home and go to bed and get up and go to school the next day. So my mom's like, can we not spend a lot of time doing the candy swap? And me and her are like, no, this is the most important of the evening. Like, you have to do the swap. Because we didn't tell her, but we both knew that when we went home with those bags of candy, even if they were confiscated, there would be things we would eat out of those bags. So you couldn't do the swap evenly if you had been eating on the candy first. And when we were little, my mom used to make us, it was, and anybody with siblings, you had to deal with this kind of thing. Possibly. Your parents make you dump all of the candy out, and then you have to count how many pieces you have, and you have to make sure that you have an equal amount of candy. I was always like, why? Because I didn't understand the concept of RNG until I was a little bit older, but it was very much a, why do I have to give up part of my candy because she didn't get as much? And I don't know. I don't know how much of that was the placating of upsetting people or whatever. And I could have been like that too. My memories from that time are not that great. I mean, I do have a memory like a piece of Swiss cheese. So, but me and my sisters did that kind of willingly. We dumped and did tradesies. See, we would dump and do tradesies, but at the end, we had to have an even number of pieces. And I think that might have been from my grandmother, actually. That might have been my grandmother's rule, because we were trick-or-treating from her yard. I will tell you, though, when I got older, and I was running trick-or-treating from her house, like, I was the one at the door, and there was always a lot of kids, so she needed somebody to be at the door when she got a little bit older. When I was doing that, I actually hung a skeleton in the dark part of her yard because, she really didn't want people cutting across the grass to go underneath the tree, to get to the next house faster, because it was like wearing a track in her yard and she really didn't want that. So I hung a skeleton in, that part of the yard. And let me tell you about how people didn't do it the next year, because it's just a skeleton hanging in the darkest part of the yard where you can not see it really from the porch, and you just walk into it because it's just a skeleton hanging there in the dark. It was really effective. Aw, yeah, I like that orange. That's nice. It was a very effective system. And my grandmother really appreciated it. So, of course, those kids did appreciate it. And if I had been one of those kids, I wouldn't have. Oh, I have a story about that. So, picture this. My sister and I are old enough to go trick-or-treating by ourselves without our parents. So we go out and we are trick-or-treating by ourselves. We've done a whole lap of the neighborhood. We are on the back half. We can see Grandma's house from where we are, and we're almost done. I'm tired because it's a block. We went around a whole block, and it was a lot. I'm tired. My sister is tired. And we go up to this house, and there's a bucket. And it is just on a table, and the table is covered. And there's a sign next to the bucket, and it says, "Please take one." And I'm there, and Jay, and my sister is there, and she's like, we could just take more than one. And I was like, yeah. I mean, why wouldn't we? There's nobody out here. She says, well, you do it. And I was like, well, okay, whatever. So I reach out and I put my hand in and I just basically grab a handful, and my hand closes around said handful. And the hand that is inside of that bucket grabbed my hand. And you know that moment that they have in movies where somebody does that to somebody and they drop whatever they're holding in their other hand and they scream and they run away and it seems really exaggerated? Allow me to tell you that when you're in that moment and it's happening to you, that is not an exaggerated reaction, because it is exactly the reaction that you have when someone does that to you. I was almost to Grandma's house before I stopped running. And my sister told me, oh, this is my favorite. I have to stop for a second. This is my favorite OC remix that has ever been created. It is Lunatic Moon. It's a remix of Cosmo Canyon. And it's done. This is Zircon is the artist that does my music. And this is my favorite OC remix. Children of the Monkey Machine, Ocean's Palace from Chrono Trigger is a very close second. This is my favorite one. Anyway, my sister told me that because she ran too, because I was running. And she told me that after we got down the street a little bit, she saw somebody come out of the house and come out from underneath the table and go back in their house. So she's like, we could go back. We could go back now. We could get all the candy we want. And I was like, no. But I'm the kind of person that would set up a table like that. So I'm not mad about it. And I wasn't mad about it at the time. I was just, I've always been a person that my reactions to things can be a little bit more grandiose. So I just had a very strong reaction to someone grabbing my hand from inside of a bucket full of candy. I think everybody has a story about things like either Halloween things or other spooky things that have spooked you in your life. And I mean, I can be honest, I am a very skittish person. If you were here for the first day of Mizzicatoween, and if you weren't, there's a VoD. Yay. I tried to play Phasmophobia with a member of my community, one of my mods, the Barbear. And we had to stop and just do Genshin weeklies because I got so freaked out because he kept dying and I had never played. So, like, I have to go back into the house to try to figure out what the ghost is, and I don't want to go in there because that's where you die. I think that the reason that I actually had that reaction when I was playing Phasmophobia was because, oh, we're done with the roof. Was because, that the very first house, I got trapped in the living room and I could not figure out how to get the door open. I could not figure out how to make the door work to get it open. Which, didn't really inspire my confidence in my ability to stay alive. So, yeah. Because of that, I was like, I can't. I've always been that way, though, with, spooky type games and stuff like that. I've always been very skittish. So, I've also decided, here, I'll hold this up. So we have our orange roof. Yay. We have our little bats that we've put on top of the roof. So I think this roof, I'm going to actually paint it green. I think I'm going to do like the dark green that I have, which, I'm missing a string. Possibly. Da, da, da. Ooh, apparently I only have dark green in glitter paint. So, I could do like gray, which feels a little more bleh. I don't really want to do a super glitter spire, though. But I think I am going to want that string over this one. So, because the other greens I have look more bluey to my eyeball. I think they're supposed to look a little bit more bluey. We definitely want some green. Actually, I think this is the dark orange. I have a lighter orange. So let's do that for the other spire, since it's that same kind of color feel, but it's not the same color. I think that might be nice. Oh, let's see. What other spooky stories do I have? Or anecdotes, I guess. They're more like anecdotes. Oh, yeah. So, oh, it's what I was talking about, actually. So, yeah, I get skittish. I'm very skittish, when it comes to horror stuff. I like creepy things, right? And not necessarily just creepy cute. I like things that are creepy. I like horror movies that are creepy, and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of jump scares because I have anxiety. Fun fact, I have anxiety. So I don't really like jump scares because I'm okay with feeling kind of creeped out and like, oh, this is spooky. You know, that's cool. But if it's like a kind of a jump scare kind of thing where you're just the whole time your heart is just pounding because you just feel like something's gonna reach out and grab you, like, I have enough anxiety from like the world without giving myself anxiety when I'm watching something or playing something. And I say this, and this is an ironic statement because I'm not going to tell you which day because I'm keeping most of the days under wraps what they're going to be. I am playing Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion during this time period. I am going to do that for as long as I can take it. That is going to be disclaimer on that particular day. If I get to the point where I feel like I'm just going to start sobbing, then I'm going to stop. But I have a game. The game I played yesterday is actually really good for filling in gaps of spookiness because I could just do Genshin dailies, which is what I did the first day. But it almost feels like it just doesn't feel right because it's not spooky. Like if it was spooky, it would be different, but it doesn't feel spooky. So it may be that I do World of Horror runs like today if I have extra time, because I have a tendency to stream for exactly 4 hours-ish. So going over is fine. I'm okay with going over. And today I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff painted, so I'm gonna paint until there's no more to paint. If I go over, I go over. But if I'm under, I like to fill out the time so that 4-hour mark is still taken up. I like to be consistent. Yeah. Consistency is good in streaming. In many things, but it's also good in streaming. So. This tower here is almost done. Some of the places when we first started are a little more watery than the others because it slowly is mixing, but that's okay. And I think that doing the tower in a little bit of a lighter shade, I think this is alright. Let's see. So, anyway, I like scary movies. I watch a lot of scary movies. Oh, hey, Hermes. Come on, Otter. Come on. Come on. You wanna come sit with me, my Halloween kitty? Oh, hi. You're not allowed to be in my paints, though. You can sit with me, though. Okay. Hi. Yeah, excuse me. You're such a butt. So, I really like horror movies. There are certain ones I like more than others. I'm a big fan of old splashers, like 80s slashers. I think they're hilarious, and they don't really scare me, even with the jump scares, because I know they're coming. Because I've seen all of them for the most part, like a million times. But I really enjoy, like, slashers and stuff like that. But when I try to watch other horror movies, I tend to have nightmares. And when I was in 7th grade, I feel like it was 7th grade. So many things happened when I was in 7th grade. But anyway, when I was in 7th grade, I went to a party. I went to a birthday party around Halloween, as you know, you tend to do if you have a birthday around Halloween. You kind of combine the two. I wish my birthday was a little later in the month, because then I could do that and I could get away with it. I think I'm going to start practicing birthday month, and it's just the entire month of October, and I can just do all of the Halloween things I want. Seems like a good trade-off for me. So, here we go. Cool. So that is the tower, and there's another bat on there. I'm probably going to do it in a different color, though. I'm trying to do all of the big pieces before I do the small pieces. And let the big pieces dry, because what we're going to do is we're going to do the house, the body of the house now. And then we're going to set this off to one side, and we're going to do one or two of our smaller figurines, and then we'll come back to it after it's dried a bit. And then we'll do some windows, and actually, this one, we're not, it's going to be part of the thing, but it actually lights up. You see those little holes? It actually has lights. It's pretty cool. I don't know how I managed to find it on sale. There was only one left, and I was like, I have to buy it. So I went to a Halloween party / slumber party, and we're watching horror movies. We're eating popcorn. It's scary. And then they put on Pet Sematary. Stephen King's Pet Sematary, if you have not seen it. And it's the original. It's not the obviously not the remake. That didn't exist. And we're watching it. And slowly I realize that everyone in the room has fallen asleep except for me. Now, I was super, super scared because the movie was very scary to me. So I did what could have possibly been the worst thing that I could have done. Instead of getting up and turning the movie off because I was the only one awake and it was scaring me and so on and so forth, I made the decision, in my infinite wisdom, that I was just going to roll over and let the movie keep playing and just not watch it. Purple. I was just not gonna watch it. And instead, I laid there staring at the couch where another one of my friends was sleeping, listening to this movie. By the way, horrifying movie, especially if you're young and you're skittish. So, and even funnier, I was laying there and all this stuff was happening. I kept hearing like screaming and other stuff, like just awful. Just all this awful stuff. And I get up the courage and I decide that I am going to roll over and I'm going to turn this movie off. Like, I can't do this anymore. This is terrifying. I don't want to be scared like this. And everybody's asleep and nobody is watching this, so I can just turn it off and nobody's going to be mad. And I don't have to look like I'm a chicken, right? I don't have to look like I'm a scaredy because everybody's asleep. Nobody's going to know I'm a scaredy cat. So I gather up my courage and I roll over to go turn the movie off. And if you haven't seen that movie, spoiler alert, there's this old guy in that movie, and he gets murdered by the undead child, because there's an undead child in that movie. He gets murdered by the undead child, and the undead child basically almost pulls his face off. It's like grabs here and just... And, if I'm remembering that correctly, it's been a long time since I've seen it. And the moment that I chose to roll over and turn this movie off was the moment that they showed his face because they had discovered his corpse. Didn't go well. Was not great that moment. Poor choice. I did not scream because, again, not going to be the Friday. But I did, however, absolutely roll back over and let the movie continue to play. Because I was like, I can't get up. Nope. I'm literally petrified with fear. If I get up, something's going to kill me. The only thing that's keeping me safe is the fact that I am laying here. I'm under the blanket. The blanket is tucked in. I'm not sticking out. It's up over my head, curled up. I can see out. That's it. I'm like a cocoon. It's the only thing that's keeping me alive from the monsters that are in the dark. Yeah. Was not my best choice to lay there and continue listening to the movie until the very end. Because children, I will say children, not just me, have an extremely active imagination. So, especially me, because I was like a writer at that point. I still write sometimes. I'm a writer and I'm a poet and I'm like doing art stuff, which always was bad because I can't draw, fun fact. And I just made the images of what was happening in the movie in my head instead of seeing them on the screen, so they were so much worse than they actually were on the screen. Yeah, I had nightmares for like a month, and my mom was really mad. Reminds me a little of the story my mother told me of when she first saw The Exorcism of Emily Rose. She was 8, went against her parents' wishes, and watched the movie anyway. That was me watching Are You Afraid of the Dark when I was a kid, which most of the time was fine, but sometimes I would just lay there in the dark at my grandmother's house after I went back into my room and just stare at the ceiling and being like, I'm never sleeping again. Because my grandma didn't want me to watch it. So I would wait until she went to bed, and then I would sneak out and watch it anyway. Because when you're small, you think you know best no matter what. And you know, I'm going to say this. This is a controversial opinion. Spicy opinion. Sometimes you do know best, right? Like, some kids do know best. You can't act like a kid is stupid because they're young. And especially when it's like how you feel and stuff like that. Nobody knows your body better than you. Like, if you don't feel good, like, you don't feel good. So there are times when the kids do know best. This wasn't one of them. I'm just saying those times exist. I'm not saying that this time was one of those choices, because it wasn't a smart idea at all. It was truly horrendous and a bad idea all around. There are certain movies that trigger my this is the scariest thing I've ever seen kind of thing, and I have to be very careful because I like watching those movies because they scare me good and proper, and I sometimes you want Let me sit up a little bit. This is where we are, by the way. We have some purple going on. Sit up a little bit so I stop slouching. I think that for me, one of the scariest movies, like, ever, to me, is the original Evil Dead movie. Now, I know that that sounds funny and weird, because the original Evil Dead movie is definitely, like, it's spooky, right? I mean, it's spooky, but it's older, so there are parts of it that just are not as scary, some people believe. And so for that to be this is the scariest movie I've ever seen, does that really work? But I can say that I'm trying to think about how to phrase this properly. That was a nice line. Okay. Gotta try and get this, some fiddly stuff to try and get the edges so that they can dry properly before I'm working on more pieces of it. It's also a far cry from what it became. So, anyway. I have a list. We're going to go into it in just a minute because it's something to talk about. The horror movie requirements. What is required of a horror movie for it to make me scared? Actually scared. Because there's a list. And you can fulfill some or all portions of this list, but there are certain portions of this list that will always elicit a reaction. Like, forever, right? And the Evil Dead movie, the original Evil Dead movie, has multiple of these requirements. Some of them are a little bit of a stretch now, so I probably could handle that movie better now. Although it did give me nightmares last year when I watched it. But it definitely has some of the things that are the scariest to me and cause me the most issues when a horror movie is being consumed by me. So let me drink a drink of water. We're gonna take a break soon. We've gotten pretty far. Pretty good. We got some orange house, and once I get the big side here done, then we're gonna swap into one of our little figurines. And I'm gonna get some more water on the break because I definitely don't have enough. I'll talk about something else, and then when we come back from the break, I'll go over my horror rules because that's a conversation in and of itself. And if I start talking about that, we're not going to take a break anytime soon. Well, I can talk about that. So when I was, again, when I was younger, obviously, went to see the Blair Witch in the theaters with my friend. Now, I will be honest that I grew up in Tennessee. And the part of Tennessee I grew up in is very wooded. So there are lots of woods. And fun fact, the Blair Witch is based on a Tennessee legend, loosely, about woods and witches. So, picture this. I watched this extremely scary movie with my friend, and it was very scary to me the first time I saw it. And then she and I go, because I'm having a slumber party, go back to her house, and she Our house at the time was surrounded by, oh no, excuse me, different movie, also a scary movie. We went back to my house, and my house at the time had woods on like at least two sides. Um, and the exactly where it was, there was woods all the way up the mountain. So, picture this: house out in the middle of nowhere. No street lights or anything like that. When you turn off all the lights in the house, it is pitch dark. So we have a slumber party, and it's after we've watched The Blair Witch, and we didn't actually sleep. There was no actual sleep. There was sitting around, staring at each other, trying to watch TV and pretending like we weren't scared out of our gourds. It was really funny, actually. I was very amused by it. I'm just getting this last piece of the tower because we have... Tower is mostly done. We just have this little tiny piece right there. Camera always messes me up. Little tiny piece right here. So we'll get that, and then that will be a good place to take our break. When we come back, we'll do the body of the house, and then we'll switch into a cat. So many things. All of the painting. No waiting. Will be... Some of the lines are a little bit messy, but that's okay. Can always go back and clean things up. And that's the thing, right? Like, I can always go back and clean up everything after stream / after whatever. Always found that a funny way to start a story if you're the protagonist of said story that happened in the past, so all stories of that nature take place when you're younger. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, I have stories from when I'm older. And then my tendency is my stories have 3 timelines. I was a small child. I was a teenager. I was a 20-something. Those are my tiers of story, usually. Because I've done things in my 30s, but I did things in my 30s, but I don't remember some of them. So, a lot of them, most of them. It's fine. The further out I get from an event, the more likely I am to remember it, because that's how my brain works. And who understands that? Nobody. Not me. All right. So, that'll be good. We'll take a little break here, and I will get some more water. And we'll be back in like 3 minutes. And I hope you're hanging out, having fun. Otter's staying with us, seems. So, we'll be back with more house painting and more stories, and I'll talk about my horror ratings and all that kind of stuff. So, we'll be back in 3-ish minutes. 3-ish minutes. Okay. We're back. I have water. Or more water. Oh, I should change my screen over here, though, because I cannot look at myself. Cool. Alright. So, we're going to finish the body of the house. It does look a little blue. It is purple. I assure you. It is purple. Although I love how it just actually looks blue. It's actually the same color as the border around my picture. That's what color it is. Thanks. Thanks, Cam. I appreciate you. So let's talk about horror and horror movies and the rules of horror when it comes to Mizzicat and Mizzicat Gaming. So, rule number 1 is no zombies. Zombies are always scary in any circumstance. I cannot watch. I did get a good stretch in. Thank you. And I did my arm stretching exercises since I am spending my entire time painting like this, and my PT would be screaming at me right now if she saw me doing that. It's okay. We're only doing a stream like this once in this stretch, so we should be fine. So anyway, rule number 1. No zombies. No zombies ever. If I have to watch a movie with zombies, I will watch the original Resident Evil. It still scares the absolute bejesus out of me, but I actually like it, so I would rather watch something I like if I'm going to be scared. Rule number 2, no spiders. We talked about this a little bit yesterday during the Spider God World of Horror run, but your bitch does not like spiders and she's terrified of them. So, I've seen Shaun of the Dead. I have seen Shaun of the Dead. I have seen Zombieland. I have seen these movies, and I'm still saying to you, no zombies. Because I will tell you that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a comedy or not, or whatever. If the zombies are depicted as flesh-eating zombie whatevers, then I can't do it. No matter what the context is and no matter how funny it is. The rage zombies in 28 Days Later, I can't do those either. So yeah, I no zombies. There is a singular exception, and it is not a horror movie in any way. The singular exception would be Weekend at Bernie's 2, because the zombie Bernie in Weekend at Bernie's 2 is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, still to this day. So that's okay. None of the rest of that. But we were talking about rule 2. Rule 2 is no spiders. There's literally only one kind of spider that I will tolerate, and I don't care how cute they are. If they are done a certain way. Like, oh, are we still talking about zombies? Okay, we can still talk about zombies. Cartoon zombies like original Scooby-Doo movie. Okay, so this is an interesting point. It depends on the realisticness of the cartoon. So if it's the Scooby-Doo movie, or Courage the Cowardly Dog, or anything from that era or genre of animation style, that's okay. Those don't they creep me out, but they're not going to give me nightmares. More realistic zombies, like the Walking Dead Telltale games. Reading The Walking Dead, I actually have a whole bunch of it, I think. I used to read it and paid the price for that. But anything that's more modern / more gritty, anime, even if it's animated, it's a no-go. Absolutely not. But cartoon zombies most of the time are okay. And I do love the Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. I do love that movie. It's very, very good. And I watch it every year because it's really, really good. So let's see. That means we're on. Are we actually on rule two now? We're actually on rule 2. Okay, rule 2 is no spiders. You can see Mana's butt jumping off the thing, but you can see up there's a little stringy black body furry thing standing up. That is the spider from the first day of the calendar, the cat advent calendar, cat Halloween calendar, I'll just call it. That spider's okay because it doesn't have mandibles. Okay, so that's the stipulation. The spider's all right if it doesn't have mandibles. If the spider has mandibles, then it's gross and ugly and I hate it, and I don't care how cute you're trying to make it. I don't care. It's no. But if the spider does not have mandibles, then it probably is kind of cute to me. Would I watch an entire movie of spiders crawling around that don't have mandibles? Absolutely not. But it's like the World of Horror run yesterday. The spider god got long spindly legs of horror and grossness. Aw, this is actually chipped. I didn't even notice this. This is chipped. That's sad. We're just gonna paint that and we're gonna ignore it. It's probably supposed to be like a feature of the house, but all the other features seem so deliberate that doesn't necessarily translate over. So we're gonna paint over it because whatever. Is it just a mandibles thing or spider mandibles? How are you? Close up of ants. Ants from a distance are fine. Close up ants are gross. They don't scare me, but I don't like them. They make me uncomfy. Scorpions are the same way. Scorpions from a distance are fine. Close up scorpion is gross. Actually, I have a lot of issues sometimes. Not often. So spiders in video games are obviously a huge problem for me. And especially because a lot of people are afraid of spiders. So if they're trying to make your game... If you're trying to make your game, like, creepy or whatever, the cheapest, to me, the cheapest way that you can do that without actually putting in any thought or effort is just to put spiders in it because people are afraid of spiders. Except I have a crippling fear of spiders. Example. There is a chest in Drustvar in the Battle for Azeroth expansion of World of Warcraft that is called, I think it's called Inconspicuous Looking Chest. And when I open that chest, because what happens is when you open that chest, a trapdoor spider comes out of the ground, like a big one. When I opened that chest, I had a panic attack. Like an actual full-on panic attack, and I sat at my computer sobbing for like 5 minutes and could not move. I was so overwhelmed just because I was so terrified. So I have a lot of problems with spiders in video games and the fact that they're used for cheap jump scares. Of course I do, because I'm scared of them. But that being said, even games where they're supposed to be cute, like I've seen pictures of it. There is a game where you're basically a spider and you have your little silk string and you're trying to do cute little jumping puzzles and stuff, and they've drawn the spider So the spider is, in my opinion, also this is where we are. The spider is, in my opinion, the cutest that a spider can be while still having mandibles. That being said, still has mandibles, so I'm never gonna play that game ever. Now I really like that Grounded has a spider mode and some other things have that spider mode. So that you can tell it, you know, oh, I don't really want to see spiders. And that's the same concept to me as the cockroach mode in House Flipper, because you can hide the cockroaches and they just look like shards of glass. But like rad scorpions in Fallout make me uncomfortable, like their faces when they get close to me. I have a tendency to snipe rad scorpions so that I don't have to see their faces. Or I try to just mow them down as soon as they spot me so that they can't get up and actually physically melee attack me. Because if they're close enough to me to melee, then I'm close enough to see their face. And I'm not on board for it. Absolutely not. So that's rule 2, right? Rule 3, vampires and werewolves are fine. They're not scary to me at all. Rule 4, no watching anything scary after a certain time in the evening because I will not be able to sleep. Now, horror movies in and of themselves have their own set of rules. We're going to clean the brush a little bit because I'm going to swap brushes for a hot minute. Horror movies have their own set of rules. And there it's more of a question of the definition of what will scare me in a horror movie. Like why a horror movie will scare me and why it won't. Okay. So, thing 1, I am never, ever, ever scared of the cannibal hillbilly thing. I think it's hilarious. I grew up in a very poor rural area. I've seen and met people who are not obviously psychotic cannibals, but they're definitely hillbillies. Some of my best friends are hillbillies. There's nothing wrong with being a hillbilly. That's not necessarily a derogatory term. I'll say that too. So, like that whole thing with that, it's funny, but it's not scary. And I don't watch most of those movies because they really lean into gore, and gore is not scary. I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there. Gore is not scary. I don't need gore to enjoy my thematic film experience. So I just don't really prefer gore in my media. So to me, gore's not scary. And I say that as somebody who, one of my favorite movies is Hellraiser, right? There's a lot of gore in Hellraiser. In the Hellraiser movies, they are very gory. But I still love them, and they don't bother me because I don't watch them as horror movies. I watch them as movies. Now that being said, having gore or not having gore is not a stipulation as to whether or not a movie will frighten me. The number 1 rule of whether or not a movie will frighten me is that movie in an enclosed location? What I mean by that is, I'll use The Grudge as an example. Okay. Because I don't know how many of them there are, but I've seen 2 Grudge movies, right? I've seen the original numerous times, and I've seen the second one exactly once. So, the Grudge movie, Ju-on, if you're watching the original, is set in a specific house in Japan, right? So, this movie is automatically not scary because I'm just not going to go to that house. So, nothing's going to happen to me because I'm just not going to go to that house. Very effective way to avoid getting murdered by sentient by ghosts and other such things. Just avoid the space where they are. So automatically, Grudge is not a scary movie. The Grudge 2, spoiler alert, you actually are, it's that the spirit has left the house and is now like in a city on the other side of the world with like apartments and stuff. So that means that instead of it being in a confined space, it is now in a very open space, and it could be anywhere. Horror that can be anywhere is automatically more terrifying to me than any other kind of horror. If there's no restrictions, it's actually one of the reasons why zombies are always a no. Because anything that... It's why Resident Evil scares me so bad, right? Because bio-experimenting and all that kind of stuff... that stuff can happen, kind of. So that makes it a lot scarier. But yes, anything that can be anywhere and has no space restrictions, automatically terrifying. It's why I'm not scared of Friday the 13th movies. I can just avoid going to Camp Crystal Lake. That's why I'm not scared of Halloween movies. I can just avoid going to Haddonfield. Like... There's a lot of ways you can avoid the problems. So that's why most of those old slasher... And you would think that that would mean that, like, the Nightmare on Elm Street movies would scare me. Because, that's in your dreams. And that can be anywhere. But I've spent more time watching the very first one than I have watching any of the rest. And the very first one clearly defines it's this town and it's the children of the people that burned him, and those are the ones he's targeting and whatever. So like, I am not one of those people, so I'm good to go. I think that it's possibly a logical fallacy, but I don't know. I can't... Look, there's only so many ways that I can cause my brain to actually make sense, and that's not one of them all the time. Oh, we are getting there. I'm going to have to switch into a smaller brush again once I get the bunch on this side, because this is actually almost... I think that's almost dry. Yeah, we don't really have anything. So, let's do a little bit more with this larger size. Hey, Mana. Hi. Hey, baby girl. What's up? She's like, Mom, I want to lay in the fluff up there. You should make Otter leave. I mean, I would do that, Mana, but you tend to get up and leave after I've forced Otter to leave. I mean, that is pretty rude. I think it's pretty rude. So anyway, item 1 has to be in a enclosed location. These are also the things that make it whether or not I want to watch a horror movie most of the time. Item 2 has to be a certain qualifier. So, like, you could say the enclosed location is the qualifier, but there are other ones, right? Like, Hellraiser. Hellraiser can be anywhere, but you have to interact with the puzzle box in some way. Hey, guess what? I can do that. So you have to have your qualifiers. That's why most vampire movies don't scare me, because that bold of you to assume that I would invite anyone in, because stay out. I like my personal space. Excuse me. Aw. A little bit of a sneeze. Got a little bit of paint there that I didn't want. It's okay. It'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. When everything is dry and I do touch up, then I can hide a lot of sins. I think that the most important thing about horror movies, everybody knows if the vampire disguised itself as a cat, you would be doomed. I mean, that is true. That is absolutely true. Random cat showing up, 100%, I would just be like, oh no, come in. No, how many cats do I have? I don't care. Come in, I must help you. You are a tiny cat and you're adorable. I must assist you in your quest. I mean, let's... If the vampire was like, oh, 50% of the time I'm a cat, I would be like, you can live here. Do you need to bite me now to be able to live here? You can live here. Just go ahead and come in. The bowl is in the kitchen, and I'll make you real food if you want real food when you're in, you know, I guess I am your food. That would be me. That would be me, 100%. Be like, just, you know, sit in my lap every once in a while and purr, and you can have all the blood from me that you want. How about that? You want to bite her now or wait till you get home, right? No, I want the vampire cat. We have vampire cats at home. The vampire cat's at home. I don't know. I wouldn't call Otter a vampire cat. Namely because he's not the bitey one. Because one of my cats is bitey, but it is not Otter. It is Socks. Socks is bitey. She bites you to tell you she loves you, and it's uncomfortable. I mean, yeah, vampire cat at home is Soxy. She's super bitey, and it's very painful and uncomfortable. I mean, but she's not like mean bitey. She's biting because that's how she like shows that she's... Mana, are you gonna sit there forever? Alright, hold on. I have to change brushes in a second, Mana. Let me finish what I'm doing right here. And then when I change brushes, I'll evict your son so that you can lay in the spot where he wants to be, where he is. She just looks at me and yeah. She's very patiently waiting. As soon as I put this brush down to evict Otter, she's gonna go lay in the cat tree. I can already tell. Ugh, you know what? We'll just do it this way. Nope, see? She's gonna scratch at the tree. She's gonna scratch. Get those nails going. She scratches those rope things more than any other cat in the house. I didn't understand those for a long time when I got cat trees, because none of the cats ever used them. So I was like, well, what is the point of those things? But she uses it. Hey, lady. Come on. Here. Get up. Out you go. Ejected. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Hey. Hey, baby. I know. Hi, baby girl. Here you go. I know there's all sorts of stuff going on over here. But you can lay in the fluff. You can do that. I evicted your son so that you could lay there. Everybody will know that it wasn't my fault if you don't stay. I did exactly what you wanted. So I love how I'm negotiating with her. Like she's like, oh, well, I obviously can't. Oh, paint on my hand. Like, I obviously can't correspond with your wishes, mother, because you've done something wrong. No, I did exactly what you wanted me to do. Trying to hold this so that I can paint this one little part before I swap swap brushes. There we go. Yeah, I think that's going to be the best way to put that. So, I'm going to swap back to the small brush. I'm going to need to change my paint water soon. It's pretty gross. I think next break we'll change the paint water. And soon we're going to be swapping to another type of figure so that we can let the house finish drying before we do all of the detailing. Go ahead and grab this brush. Get some paint. Definitely got some crazy brush strands, but I mean, again, always must be remembered, we are not working with high-end equipment here. Oh, hi, Soxy. And Mana did abandon me. I did notice that. As she does. This is correct. She is rather rude in that regard. She will absolutely abandon me if she feels it's necessary. I think that's going to need the small edge brush, actually. So we'll get that in just a second. This actually, since it's just me touching up around the windows, this is actually gonna go pretty quick, this last little bit. Giant house. This thing feels, it's actually, and I will say that these are not plastic, just in case you're wondering. These are resin, so they're actually really heavy in your hand. So these are really cool. If someone who actually had a decent amount of artistic talent painted one of these, I'm sure that they would come out really, really pretty. You get me. So they will come out the best I can do. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, though. I think that's fine. I mean, the whole purpose of things like this is to have fun, right? And even though I am not the best at painting them, they're fun. So that's all that really matters, right? Oh, I realized that the chat, that this screen is a screen that doesn't have the new chat box that I have. Let's see. So, let's give examples of actual scary movies that I like. Like I said, I do like The Evil Dead, even though it is absolutely terrifying. Oh, I forgot. I forgot the other thing. The other thing that is, if it's in a horror movie, is guaranteed to scare me and give me nightmares. Before we go into listing movies. The other thing that will always scare me in any horror movie is demon faces. Like, any kind of, and this is not, like, exclusive to modern. I know, how did I forget that? It's true. It's not exclusive to modern movies. I can watch a movie that is 20, 25, 30 years old, and if they've got those demonic faces in it, I'll have nightmares afterwards. Like, that's just every time. That's how it works. That's how it works. So that is why the Evil Dead movie scares me so badly. It's because, hi, little girl. What? Hi. Speaking of bites, every single movie that scares me like that with the Evil Dead that's why that movie scares me so badly, because it has demon faces. We need this on this side to be able to do this line underneath the door. This is one of my new brushes. It's got a really nice edge. So it can do fine lines, which makes it a little easier to get in these corners. Doesn't have to be perfect, but there's certain parts of it that I would like to just be a little bit clean, you know? So yeah, demon faces. Anything that's got that demonic face, and that's probably partially because of zombies, because zombies tend to be made up in a very similar way. There are definitely differences depending on the movie, but it's definitely made up that same kind of way. So, movies that scare me, but I still like them. Resident Evil, the original Resident Evil movie, the very first one. I know there are more than that. I've seen a few of them. I'd love to sit down one day and just watch them all and watch them spiral into madness. I think that would be fun. The Evil Dead movie. The Grudge. The Ring. They have a little bit of that scary demon thing going on. So they do scare me a little bit, but they're not like... I wouldn't put them on the list of I'm terrified by this movie. Because if I find a movie to be truly terrifying, not like a, that was a good horror movie, but like a, I can't breathe. I don't watch it again. Hey, buddy. Did you come back? I know. I keep kicking you out of your bed. Why don't you stay up here with me? I'm not gonna kick you out anymore. Everybody else abandons me, but you stay with me, Otter. So you can have the bed today. How about that? He's just like, Mom, you mean it? Really? 5 minutes later, right? Sophie comes and I'm just like, okay, Otter, you gotta go. Oh, there's Mana again. I'm not kicking him out for you again. You've already betrayed my trust, madam. So let's see. Actually, I just got finished. The other day, I watched Annabelle and The Conjuring. And those movies were scary. Like, The Conjuring gave me nightmares because of the demon faces. But it was a scary movie. I really appreciated the spooks on that. It was definitely I'm glad I didn't watch this in the dark kind of movie. Very good though. I really liked it. Okay. Alright, so you can see we pretty much have all of the sides painted now. So we're going to set you down over there so that you can think about whatever. And I think I'm actually going to take a second and dump out this paint water. Literally just like 2 seconds, so I'm just gonna take my headset off. Because I'm gonna be working with some lighter colors, and the paint water is really, really dirty, so I don't want it to bleed. So we'll go here. Give me a second, and I'll be back in 2 shakes. Okay. We got some new water because we're going to be working with a little bit of lighter colors. So I don't want to, because I'd done the black for the bat and that kind of started everything out poorly. Okay. So, I already rinsed this one out. I'm not sure which brush we'll need to start yet. Let's do this. Let's do this little stripy kitty, shall we? Let's do a gray striped kitty. We'll do a gray striped kitty to represent the stripies. We have some darker gray and some lighter gray. I think I want it to be a little darker, so we're gonna do like the lighter gray, and then I'm gonna do like black on the stripes. Let's see. We should do the stripes first. We should do the stripes first, I think. Well, no, because the black can go over. We should do the stripes second. We'll do this brush. I think we've gotten most of the errant hairs under control. Possibly. Just stir this up a little bit. And then we'll start on the back. These kitty statues are definitely smaller. So they should not take nearly as long as some of the big ones that we've been doing during the start of stream. Just want to make sure we get lots of gray on there. So, horror movies that I like. Yeah, those Conjuring movies are really good. And I hadn't really watched them before because I've always wanted to kind of watch them in order, but not in... Okay, that's right. Not watch them in release order, watch them in chronological order. And you always have to, start with The Curse of La Llorona, which I have watched. If you're watching them in chronological order, which I'm glad, actually, that I'm doing that, because there's been some really cool story moments where I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without watching from the chronological order, I think. So... I couldn't find a way to watch that without having to, like, pay to rent it. And I kind of didn't want to do that just because, like, I'll pay to rent a movie that I've already seen. Because if I know I like that movie, I am willing to pay to watch it. It's a hot debate in any movie that comes out in different order than the story is told. I know. And, like, it's so funny because there's other media that I consume that definitely has a release order versus chronological order, and I don't do that. Like, it's actually really funny. It's not even release order for some series. It's the order at which I originally consumed it. Like, so they're talking about making a Heralds of Valdemar thing for Vaniel. Heralds of Valdemar is a universe that was created by Mercedes Lackey. It's one of my favorite series of books. I have a lot of them, but to me, because I don't know if that's the release order, maybe it is, I start with Talia's line, even though there is, when I start reading it again, when I start reading all of my books again, because I do that every once in a while, I always start with Heirs of the Queen, and I don't start with the Griffin, and now with the Foundation, and all that kind of stuff. Because some media, the release order is better because it makes certain stringers hit even harder. You can make the connection. Some understand what happening before makes other stringers have pain. Yeah, so, I mean, that for me, that's the thing, right? Like, especially leaving back into horror, especially these Conjuring, Annabelle movies. Like, I was always like, I want to watch this movie because I want to know about the killer demon doll, which, yikes. I want to know about these things. So I kind of, I want to see about all that and whatever. But I knew that there was more to the story. And I didn't want to try to come back in later and watch that more to the story and be like, what the hell am I looking at? And that's it's weird. It's sometimes when I introduce people to media, if I watch that media in a certain order and that was how I originally consumed it, then I will be like, you should watch it in this order because this is the correct order. Even if that's nobody recommends that order at all. So we have our back is getting there. Trying to leave the stripes so that we can make them black. Like, look at Star Wars. Imagine if they did the prequels first. The reveal about Vader being Anakin would basically not existed. You would spent the first 2 movies released like, why are you fighting your son? Yes, that is true. But I mean, that's a harder argument because there are several people who believe that the prequel should not exist, or at least some of them. There are several people who believe that the only real Star Wars movies are 4, 5, and 6. But I mean, A, I'm not really one of those people because I don't have a strong opinion about it, and B, like, they would have been fine if they were in the same style 4, 5, and 6 were made. Yeah, I mean, however, admittedly, we have no control over the universe, right? Like, if the person who made the movie had a vision, and then over time, the movie changed and evolved because of the ability of greater technology, like, so I would like to be clear in this matter that I am not suggesting that there's justification for the way that the sequels or the prequels, I have the way that the prequels were changed from the original structure. Because I am not saying that I'm okay with that, because I personally don't necessarily like the prequels. I actually like the first one the most, because I think that there's a lot of unnecessary romance in the other ones, and I understand that Anakin and Padme is important, but I don't like unnecessary romance in my action movies. It's just a little thing about me. But that being said, I have to acknowledge their existence, whether I like them or not. So that's why I'm acknowledging their existence. But I am not saying that I particularly enjoyed them. And I will be honest, I haven't seen any of the sequels. I have not seen 7, 8, and 9 at all. I just didn't really have any interest. I was like, I'm not really interested in that. It's so funny because I like both Star Wars and Star Trek, and usually that's kind of where the demarking line is. You either like Star Wars or you like Star Trek, which I think is dumb. But I was always more of a Star Trek girl than a Star Wars girl, but even with that, I'm just not interested. 7 was good, 8 was okay, never gave 9 a shot. Yeah, it's one of those things I probably need to sit down and watch them. And just watch everything in order over a few days, because I wouldn't try to do that all at once. But I'm so strange when it comes to movies, because it's like I have access to movies, and I have access to new movies, but I don't end up watching them. I end up watching the stuff the stuff I always watch, because it's far more comfy and I know exactly what's going to happen. And sometimes you like that. Sometimes you like the predictability of it. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, these aren't too bad, these little ones. They cover pretty quickly. But again, some of them have more detailing than others. Like this one is pretty detailed, even though it's not going to focus because I don't have autofocus on. Because autofocus drives me crazy. But it has a decent amount of detail, and that might slow us down a little bit. Okay, but horror movies. We were talking about horror movies. I like the Hellraiser movies. I actually like all of the Hellraiser movies. I have not seen a single Hellraiser movie that I don't like. And that includes Hellraiser in Space, which many people don't like because it is weird and confusing. But, I mean, I also like Halloween 3, The Curse of the Witch, which everybody's like, this is not really a Halloween movie, is it? And I'm like, I don't know, but I like it anyway because it's weird. Definitely a little bit more eclectic. But now, see, now I'm just talking about how horror movies I like, and I'm not talking about horror movies that I like that are scary. I would say it's hard to say. Because if a movie is really, really scary, then I don't watch it ever again. It's only the ones that I watch every year, and I tend to not watch the super scary ones every year. Like, I'll watch some of them, but, oh, House on Haunted Hill. Oh, I know what movies I could talk about. I just realized the two that I can talk about that would be the most appropriate. So, House on Haunted Hill, not the original. I love the original, and we can talk about that in a minute, but I love the original for different reasons. The original does not scare me. So, House on Haunted Hill. The first time I went and saw that, I went and saw it in the movie theater with my friend. Same one that watched Blair Witch. And this is the story I was trying to tell earlier, and I was a little bit off on my timing. Went back to her place, and it was very dark. And if you've ever seen House on Haunted Hill, there's like a cloud monster kind of deal, like a spirit monster that's just like a dark cloud of death. And it just looks like a black lump on the floor that's chasing and following. And her hallway was pitch dark, and I swear I kept seeing stuff out in that hall, and it was so scary. But I had nightmares. Went back to her place after we watched it. I had horrible nightmares. Right? So the next day, I'm thinking about it. And I'm thinking about this movie. And I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be scared of this movie. It's not that scary of a movie. It's fine. So we're just going to go and we're going to watch it again. And this time, we're going to watch it in the middle of the day on a matinee. And it's sunny outside. It's not scary. It's not dark. It's just matinee. Go watch it. That's it. So, I go to the matinee. I watch it. It is not scarier than it was when I saw it with my friend, but it was just as scary as when I saw it with my friend. And I can tell you that I watch that movie almost every year because I'm a glutton for punishment. And every time I watch that movie, it gives me nightmares. Every single time. And there's a very specific moment that gives me nightmares. There is I'm not actually gay. I'm actually I'm pansexual. So technically I am gay, but also not. So I am pansexual. So it is not inaccurate that I am LGBTQIA+. I am the plus. I'm also polyamorous, which technically is also part of the plus. So, is it not? Because I've been for several years. So, if it's not, that's pretty surprising to me and really everybody that I know. So, I'll have to let them know. Of course. They probably will tell me the same thing I'm telling you, that I have already established that I am this thing. So, that's fine. I will, should I? Because I'm not. There are things in this life that I can be offended, that I can be ashamed of. Possibly. Everybody's got things they can be ashamed of. But that is not one of them. I am not ashamed of who I am and how I am. I am too old to be ashamed of that stuff. and too old to really worry when other people tell me I should be ashamed of that stuff. So, it's impossible for me to actually get agitated about something. I really don't care if you don't think so. I'm using the tag for profit. How many viewers do I have? It's not that many. You can check my chat. I've been using the tag since the very first day I streamed, and I'm not actually affiliated with anybody, so please tell me. I see. We're gonna be like that today. I'm not gonna worry about it. Because my mods are just gonna ban you. That's an interesting thing to happen today. Not super worried about it. Oh no, it was absolutely unnecessary. 100%. And there are so many, like, there are so many ways that could be interpreted. And I am not going to worry about it. Because whether or not people understand me does not dictate who I am. What was I talking about? Something about horror movies. I think... Oh yeah, House on Haunted Hill. So, there's a really awesome part. Oh, by the way, just so you know, Mod, if I see chat like that, I'm just gonna ignore it, and you can just go ahead and ban it out. Because I'm just gonna ignore it if it happens. So there's like this part in House on Haunted Hill, and sorry if you haven't seen it, big spoilers. They have a reporter, right? And she's walking around, she's trying to do her reporting thing. She's got a camera, handheld camera. And with this handheld camera, she is trying to get some good... I can react faster. React faster. That's fine. She's trying to get her spoopy shots. And when she did that, she goes into a room and she can see people operating on a patient, and it's all ghosts and it's horrifying and whatever. And she lifts the camera up and she looks, and the room is empty. And then she takes the camera back down and she points it at the ghosts, and they're all looking at her. And that moment just creeps me out. I don't know why it creeps me out as bad as it does, but it super creeps me out. Okay. So we still have some stuff in the sides, but we definitely have better coverage. And we're just gonna get a little bit on the inside. We don't want to do too much. It's okay if it goes over a little bit, just because we're going to put black in the stripes. But having a cleaner edge is going to end up helping us in the end. So... Oh, and even though it doesn't matter because it doesn't exist, let me go ahead and be very clear that I will never change how I am or who I am for anybody. So, I think that we are almost... I want to be sure that I don't paint into the center of the cat's ears, because I do want to give the cat a little bit of a kink on the inside of the ear. Right, that should be good. And I'll get some water. We're almost up to another break, actually. We've been painting for 2 hours already. I don't even know how that happened, but we've been painting for 2 hours already. There we go. Stripies. We do that side right there. And then we'll actually switch to a different brush, probably. Try to do like a little bit of a line through there just to get that a little bit of coverage. So yeah, House on Haunted Hill, super scary to me. I think that another one would be 13 Ghosts. I actually just watched that the other day. I actually really like 13 Ghosts. It's another one that I usually watch every year. Except that it has a lot of that demon face stuff from the Jackal, and it also has there's gore in that one, right? It's not super gory, but it's that's in a place where the gore lightens the effect. It's one of the reasons I can actually watch it, because of there's a lot of jump scares and stuff like that, which I don't do as well with. So, let's see. I think we will go into the edge here. Hi, Sophie. You're a little early. You usually don't come until 4. You've come at 3 today. To what do I owe this dubious honor? Sophie paying attention to me is somewhat of a dubious honor, honestly. He knows you're being harassed. I mean, that's true. And you know what? Honestly, that's the kind of thing that happens. And you got to be ready for it. I don't know that I would say that I was ready for it, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. And we're just not going to worry about it, and we're not going to talk about it, because it just gives it more power, and we don't give those things power here. So 13 Ghosts. And I actually really like the way that 13 Ghosts is written. I'm not going to spoil chunks of the story, because if you haven't seen it, you really should. Like, there's some good, decent surprises in it that you don't know are coming, which I think is always a good thing in a movie. It's so funny, because I spend so much time messing with stuff and writing and everything else. I tend to know when things are going to happen in a movie or in a book or anything like that. It's a little annoying, and I don't always know, but I know often enough that I'm just like, ugh. And because of that, like, trying to get that line like that. Okay, just trying to do something fiddly, so I didn't want to. It's one of those things that I just really enjoy. I just really enjoy horror movies. I can wax poetic on my favorite horror movies forever. And if I haven't seen it, if it's a like an 80s style horror movie or one of those older slashers that you haven't seen, then I'm 100% here for it. Like, I'm a big fan. Modern horror movies, I'm a little bit more hesitant, just because they tend to be very, I don't know. To me, there's a certain amount of non-realisticness to older horror movies that makes them easier to consume. I know things that are really realistic, I don't really prefer anyway. I like my media to be a little bit more fantastic, because like, the world sucks, right? Like, the regular world kind of sucks. Not all the time, but definitely sometimes. So why would I want to consume media that is reminding me of that? So more fantastical things, older horror movies, fantasy movies, and fantasy series always tend to be more something I'm interested in. So, okay, so we actually have completely painted out our little kitty here with her stripies. So we're gonna rinse our paintbrush, because paintbrush rinsing is important. And we're going to take, we're going to take our 2-hour break. So not like a break for 2 hours, but at the 2-hour mark. Because I take a break every hour because I have to. Because I have gamer elbow. And my physical therapist yells at me if I don't take breaks. So we're going to take a hot break for like... Oh, hey, Mana. We're going to take a hot break for 3 minutes. And we will be back, I think, in 3 minutes. 3 minutes? I know, right? Everybody's going to come now that I'm taking my break. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Still break time, so... Okay. We are back. Let me do this and then that. Cool. Otter. Mana is laying on the floor. Surly. Because she can't have the floof. Life is over. We have our little friend here. We're going to do black. Let's see. We're going to do... Let's do one of the smaller pots of black. How about this one? Because everything that I got came with its own paint string, right? So you can use a little bit of the paint designed for this. It's exactly the same paint. So let's go ahead and get some of that. We're just going to use the little edge brush straight up for this whole part, just because it's all like little tiny stuff, and The last thing I need is to just slop everything on there and end up despising it. So, 13 Ghosts. I can talk about the moment that scares me in Resident Evil, because I'm a chicken, and I'm scared of Resident Evil. It's, when they first encounter the actual living dead around and whatever, and one of them is dragging an axe, and I actually hear that sound sometimes in my nightmares, even when I haven't been watching Resident Evil. It's weird. I don't have images usually. There's only a couple of movies that are like images associated with horror movies that kind of sit in my head and have real estate. But I do have sounds. Soundscapes always get to me more than visual, because I'm very auditory. I think it's probably part of, like, I have auditory migraines. Like, when I get migraines, it's not I see auras and stuff. It's everything is too loud, and I can hear everything really, really well. So, when I have that going on, I'm so hypersensitive to sound. And I think that possibly because I am such an auditory person, because of that, think that probably adds to sound having more of an impression on me than visuals. Because I do learn how to sing by listening to a song over and over again. Like, sometimes I'll look the lyrics up, but most of the time, if I listen to a song 4 or 5 times, I know all of the words. Oh my goodness. Definitely. You know what? It's a really weird day today. It's definitely a weird day, but it's alright. I can talk about candy. My favorite candies. Stop talking about scary stuff for a bit and talk about candy. And I did say, like, when I was young, my favorite candy was Twizzlers. And I still love Twizzlers. I don't really like chocolate too much, funnily enough. Chocolate makes me super thirsty. So I don't tend to want chocolate candy just because it makes me super thirsty. And I think we're going to actually end up doing the face for this cat in a little bit, because when I paint the stripes on the top of its head, I'm not going to be able to paint its face I'm not going to be able to paint its face while I'm holding it. The good thing about choosing this particular color scheme is that well, you know, actually what I could do, I can do these stripes on the tail. And after we do the stripes on the tail, I can swap brushes. Well, I can clean this brush and swap paints. And then I can do the face and then do the top of the head. So it'll be done when we set it down to dry from the top of the head being painted. It's going to darken the paint water up a little bit, but that's all right. I think, though, that we're definitely going to probably stick to our regular stream time, and it was 100% super ambition for me to say I can paint all of these on a single stream. But I will end up either painting them, and I'll ask in the Discord. I'll either end up painting them on another stream, paint some other ones. The house isn't done. The house is nowhere close to done. So I'll probably just end up painting them off stream and just taking my time with them and fiddling, since we have so many others to paint still. So we cleaned our brush Let's do... I think I just want to do white for the eyes, and I don't think I need to actually paint that yet. We want to do some pink, though. It is. The house is big. It's really cool, though. I really like the house. It's super cool. Let's do like a little bit of dot there. Just a little bit in there. Some of this will definitely be touched up later, but that's totally fine. Give our little pink ears and our little pink nose. I think for the eyes, I want to do something. The cheeks are... Whoa! Cat's being crazy. The cheeks I think will also be white, but I'll do them in glitter. I think I'll do the cheeks and eyes in glitter white later when I can control the glitter a little bit better. Well, the cheeks and the... But we do want to have color in their eyes. I want color in the eyes. I will say these paints are definitely in worse condition than the other paints we have encountered so far. These paints are definitely a little bit more no good. They work out okay, but they're definitely a little bit more dried out. There we go. I'm not going to hold it up yet because I want to do the mouth and then I'll show you. Candy. I don't really like chocolate. I like white chocolate. That's not actually chocolate. But I do like dark chocolate. I will say that. Milk chocolate is just too sweet for me. I just don't really like how sweet it is. And I end up just not... Okay. I just end up not really eating any of it. Or I get very thirsty. Chocolate in general makes me extremely thirsty. So I tend to go for like sweet and sour candies and stuff like that over chocolate, unless it's mint, and then I'll eat it because I have no control. So we have our little face, little blue eyes, and a little red mouth, and a little pink nose. We have our little face. So other than the stripes on the top of his head, which I'm gonna do now, this kitty is pretty much done. This is the Mana Socks kitty. And once I get these stripes done and put her over there to dry, then we will swap back to the house and do some window work. I think we're gonna do some green for the windows with some nice greeny stuff. Less spooky and more brightly colored, but I mean, I think a good blend of both is probably what we're going to end up with, because I have a tendency to try spooky things and then they end up terrible. And then we do things that aren't supposed to be spooky and they end up super spooky. Like our Glitter Ghost of Doom. Glitter Ghost of Doom. Now we have the stripes up the top too. So the only thing left is I gotta do around the ears, which is fine, and then the white parts. So that can go sit over there. You're pretty much done. You're pretty much done, little Soxy Mana. House. we're gonna use this edge brush still because it's for door frames or window frames. We are gonna get into the glitter paint a little bit. But that's because I just want to do the edging for the windows. I want to do it in green. All of these greens are like not green enough. So I could have sworn, and I will roll back and examine one more time. Yeah, the only greens I really have, like good greens, are glitter ones. So all right. Hi, Thox. Come on. Come on. Hi. I know. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. This is why all of my paint has hair in it. Socks. Socks alone. Get her down there. Doing her thing. Begging for pets. Because that's what she does. This is so much easier than on the first day when I was trying to do like little detail stuff with that really garbage brush. Yeah, she did. She did hear me say her name. She responds. She knows. She knows immediately. Definitely some tiny fiddly edges. Now, keep in mind, I'm well aware that there doesn't have to be tiny fiddly edges here. Like, I can just paint the whole window one color. No. So, we don't like chocolate. What do we like then for candy? Well, we like, sweet tarts. We like Starburst. I love Starburst. Love Starburst. I don't really like Swedish Fish. It's kind of a texture thing. But I do like gummies of various types. Gummy worms and all that kind of stuff. I have recently, very recently, discovered my love of Sour Patch and the sourness. But, I mean, my face doesn't like it when I eat sour things. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of another, I suppose. Saw the chat move. Someone say sour? Oh, yeah, right? You gonna do it? I'm not being sour! Ugh, fine. I'm not being sour, but okay. Rude. Ugh. So, back here in the candy bucket. Hi, socks. You gotta reach back in here. No, that's half of one. I'm not gonna cheap. I'm not gonna be cheap. Okay. Sour Patch. Excuse me while I mute the mic so that you don't have to hear me chewing because that's gross. Oh, oh, so sour. Oh, my face. Oh, it was like orange, red orange, I think. Ugh. Yesterday I ate a green one and a yellow one back to back. I thought my face was gonna fall off. Oh. Okay. Oh, little girl is up there sulking in the top of the tree because I got up and it wasn't to pet her. I know that's why she's sulking. Oh, we need to wipe off the excess. We don't want excess because we're trying to do white. Tiny lines. This is a good mix, too. Also Chrono Trigger. I love Chrono Trigger. It's such a good game. What other candies do I like? Good question. Obviously I like Nerds. But it's so funny because Nerds are also sour. But, like, my brain has never interpreted that. My brain is not like, oh, Nerds are sour. It's just like, oh, we like Nerds. It's like a different experience to me, eating Nerds versus eating, like, actual sour. They're kind of sour. They're tart, actually. It's a better way to say. Nerds are tart, which is not the same as sour. Well, I mean, some people eat a lot of sour candy. And so, small sour candies do not taste like sour candies. Some of us do not do that. Oh, also, this is what it looks like. It's outlined. So, that's kind of cool. Really needed that dark color, though. Like, I think so much powder on my shirt. I think that the lighter, greenier color probably wouldn't have come out very well. / wouldn't have looked quite right. I like Skittles. I didn't for a really long time. Because they were too sad. They were too sweet. It was just overwhelming. It's so weird, like, what my brain defines as too sweet versus what's not too sweet. But that's actually changed over time. Because that does that, you know? When I was a kid, I would eat all the frosting off the cake and then not eat the cake. And now I'm like, can I have a cake with no frosting, please? What happens? Get old, your taste buds changed. Some ways they still need to keep changing. Definitely still have some very strange food habits. I think actually that would be my favorite thing if I had, like, I didn't have an apartment. If I had, like, a house, I would totally be one of those people that had the Home Depot skeleton in their yard. Because I am a Home Depot skeleton girl all the way. I actually saw a really cool article about somebody who had taken the Home Depot skeleton and they basically put it in a giant skeleton hand that they had built of a giant skeleton, like, forcing its way out of their house. Like, the head was starting to break through the roof and then the arm was out the window and holding the smaller skeleton. Brilliant. I was just like, that's so amazing. Like, that is the kind of thing I would love to do. I would also love to have a Halloween tree all year long up in my house, but as you may or may not have been aware, I have cats. Namely, 5 cats. So, like, Christmas trees are made out of lights on the wall. Like, we can't have real trees. There's no real trees going on over here, because no real trees, no fake trees, nothing that they can climb. I can't give them something else to climb. If I have a tree, it's got to be one of those tiny ones that sits on a table that can't be climbed. Even then, it's not safe. They'll chew on it. But, at least if it's a tiny one, they can't take it out and whatever. Oh, you know, it's all the climbing. Windows on the side. So we just need to do the windows on the back. And then the other side of the tower. We want to do the windows on the tower. So, pretty cool, actually. I like the windows. They're pretty easy to do. They're just fiddly. And using the glitter paint for them actually makes them a little bit more shiny, which is fun. But of course, now everything I paint is going to have glitter in it because I have glitter in the brush. But We're gonna shake that out and it'll be fine. Just trying not to touch what I was just working on because that is what you do if you have no idea how to paint anything that has glitter. Slash smudges. Not the best. We don't like smudges. Or at least we don't like unnecessary smudges. I think that's what you would say, unnecessary smudges. Alright. Tonight, I think I shall figure out something spooky to have for dinner. Keep that theme going. And tomorrow, I guess I could talk about tomorrow's game. 'Cause tomorrow we're back to actually playing games, which is what we do here usually on Mizzicatoween Gaming. Tomorrow I think I'm going to be playing Little Misfortune. And the key thing to remember about games during the horror block slash the 13 days of Mizzicatoween, as I like to call it, slash Mizzicat Halloween. Mizzicatoween, I guess, is what I labeled it as officially. My brain is exhausted. That unless I get a lot of outcry from people who really want to see it, that I won't really be finishing playthroughs of these games during the time period of whatever. It's a different game every day, other than if we have to do time filler, which shouldn't be an issue most days. So in that case, I can't really, unless I hurt myself most of the time, I'm not going to be able to get through a whole playthrough. The closest I'm going to come is Halloween, because I'm going to try to do as much of that game as I possibly can. But I also know that to finish it, even without the extras, takes like 10 hours. So. And then we'll be in Animal Crossing land, because I'm going to be playing a bunch of Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing and Genshin. The Animal Crossing and Genshin channel. She says as she paints a Halloween house. Not too bad, these. Let's see. Animal Impact, right? Genshin Crossing. I actually saw the, there's a really cool thing, you should Google it if you haven't seen it. That it's a crossover between Animal Crossing and Doom. It's, Isabella and Doom guy hanging out. It's amazing. And I love everything about it. Isabel, I should say. There's been quite a few crossover things like that. When they said that Isabel was coming to Smash, there was a bunch of that kind of stuff, and the Halloween events, I think it was last year, they talked about this crossover type things and stuff. It was super cute. So, I always appreciated it. Tomorrow, we're going to play Little Misfortune, like I said. I've only looked into that game a little bit, so I'm actually very excited about it. And then we're going to do some more exciting stuff this weekend. And we're just not going to stop. We're not going to stop until Halloween. We're going to stream every single day. Shake the extra glitter out of our brush. We're going to stream every single day until Halloween. And we have lots and lots of really cool stuff planned. Or at least, I have lots of really, really cool stuff planned that I'm going to do. So I'll be here. And you can be here too, if you want. What time is it? Okay. Ooh, connection issues. have to touch that up. We will make sure really quick. Alright. Just making sure I didn't have anything start downloading on me that I don't know about. Hopefully it'll clear up soon. And if it doesn't, then that's what one can do. No, it's not just on your end. Okay, it's back to green. No, we were dropping for a hot minute there. We got a little bit frame droppy. So, I think what I need now is I watch a Halloween movie every single day in October. At least one. Oh, I can talk about, yeah. Worst Halloween movie I've seen. Oh, that's a good question. I've seen some really bad Halloween movies. Because like I said, I watch a Halloween movie every day in October. I guess I need to ask a qualifying question for that. Worst Halloween movie that's supposed to be bad? Or worst Halloween movie that's not trying to be bad, but is actually terrible. Like, unwatchably bad or funny bad. Which one are you talking about? Because there's two different answers. Actually terrible. That's a good question. Think. Probably The Happening. It's a M. Night Shyamalan jam. And I say this as somebody who I saw The Village in theaters and unironically loved it. I saw Signs in the theaters as well, and The Sixth Sense, and all this other movies. I even saw Lady in the Water, which is not a horror movie. So, I've seen a lot of M. Night Shyamalan movies, and unironically, thought they were great. The Happening is awful. I'm not even going to talk about that movie because it doesn't deserve my air, but it's just, that movie is bad. That is a bad movie. It tries to do something that has been done before with the atmosphere of something is out to get you and you can't see it. So you don't know what it is. That is not a trope that is exclusive to that movie, right? You've seen that. Seen it in a lot of different movies. But in that movie in particular, it is just slow and boring. And the way when they get to the reveal, it's like, really? So, that off the top of my head, without thinking about that for a hot minute, I would say that that's probably my answer. Worst movie I've seen that is supposed to be bad, and so in actuality was absolutely glorious because of how bad it was. It is a toss-up between Lamageddon and Velocipaster, both of which are amazing, horrible movies. It is a toss-up between those two. If I had to choose one of them on the pain of something, I would probably choose Velocipaster. I think Velocipaster is slightly worse. Because Velocipaster is pretty bad. Like, right? It's pretty bad. I love it. It's terrible. Okay, so we have all of our little windows all nice and outlined. Oh, yay! So, I'm going to do the top because I'm going to need to go and change the water out again soon. I'm trying to stretch it out until my break. So I'm going to do the, I'm going to do a few detailers that I know are going to be black, because then I can go into the rest of the detail work on the house just without having to rinse out black paint again to tear up the water. Definitely getting a little bit dry in the throat, though. I'm not drinking enough. And my arm is actually starting to hurt. So we'll probably... I'm going to paint this black stuff like this. And then I'm going to evaluate. Oh, thank you. And the reason I changed the text on that is because I have a tendency to see that and be like, okay, I'll get it in a minute. That is like, no, right now. Stop what you're doing. Drink this water. So I'll probably evaluate in 20 or so minutes how my arm is feeling, because I'm not going to tear my arm out 2 to 3 days into a 13-day stretch. But it may be that I just have to slowly paint on these for the rest of the time, which that's fine. I'll get them all done. But we want to do some black paint, and I want to do these chimneys. Let's pop up, shall we? Well, I think now the best Halloween movie I've ever seen. I actually don't even need to think about it. I know it off the top of my head, and the answer to that question is Cabin in the Woods. If you have not seen Cabin in the Woods, don't worry. I'm not going to spoil it, but you should watch it if you like horror movies. If you like horror movies, you should watch Cabin in the Woods. That being said, Josh Whedon is a problematic individual, and I do not... But Josh Whedon is a very problematic individual. But that movie is brilliant. It's unfortunate, but that movie is brilliant. Cabin in the Woods is everything that makes a horror movie great, and then it has extra stuff. So, if you haven't seen it and are okay with watching it once... Oh, yes. Then I would definitely watch it. Like, it's really good. I try to watch it every year. Ever since I watched it for the first time. I try to watch it every year. It's a good palate cleanser. It works really well at the beginning of the 31 days of watching horror movies, because it's good to know what it should be before you get into digging through the dross of streaming services to find horror movies. But it's also good at the end. If you've watched a bunch of stuff, you can watch it at the end. Here we go. Our little black chimneys. To cleanse your palate when you're all done. Honorable mention to House on Haunted Hill, the original. House on Haunted Hill is actually, because we were talking earlier about the remake and how it gives me nightmares and it scares me. I love the original. I don't find it scary at all, obviously. But it's so well written. And the cool thing about the original is that the relationship between the two main characters, between the husband and wife, there's such a different edge to it in the original versus the remake. Like, the remake, oh, they kind of hate each other and blah, 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 blah. But, like, at the end, spoiler, at the end, when the wife's about to get, like, chomped, they're like, they have this moment of connection of, no, wait, I didn't really want you to die. But in the first movie, their hatred is real. Like, it's a character. Their hatred of each other is a character in the movie. It is, like, real and palpable, and I really appreciate that. Like, the characters feel so much more menacing because of, like, how much they hate each other. Like, you can tell that they want each other dead. And it's just, to me, it's a lot better. Although, the wife in the remake is really done well. She's just totally unhinged by the end of it. Not too deep into it, actually. She's just totally unhinged. She does stab somebody, so that can definitely add more to that creep factor. Yeah, there we go. We have our little chimneys. Definitely getting a little grumpy. I think I need a smaller brush for the piece I want to do. So let's grab our paper towel so we can kind of clean this off. Dab the extra water off. Yep. And then we will swap into a smaller detail brush because we want to do some of the detail work on these little things in the front. We're going to do some things for that. There we go. That'll take time to dry, but when it does, it'll look good. Do a little bit of touch up there, and a little bit of stuff here. I think I was right, though. I think I am going to have to call this earlier than I originally anticipated and not go the full 4 hours because my arm is really unhappy. And I'll get in trouble if my arm's really unhappy. So I'll just paint the rest of these. I mean, it may be that I sub in some of the small ones for stream starts. But, like, they'll all be painted before the 31st. So that's what really matters. It's the house, man. The house is so big. Originally, I didn't have the house planned on this day. But I kind of needed to do the house. I realized that if I was going to do a whole day of painting, then my numbers were slightly off. So I was going to have to do more than I originally anticipated. And that's where the house ended up being. Hi, Socks. I can't, like, I didn't turn my head, but I knew it was you. Hi. I did the skull, which is going to end up drying. And then I did the edge of the tombstone. So, that'll be nice. That's the unfortunate reality. This arm does not let me do this kind of bendy motion. Is it this long? Fun fact, do things with your shoulder and not with your arm, your elbow, or your wrist. Or else you get to where I am. You have gamer's elbow, and you have to go to physical therapy once a week. And your physical therapist spends a lot of time asking you if you know what you're doing to yourself. So I really like that we got the purple and the green, all this stuff. This looks really good. I like it. I'll probably end up doing a little bit of stuff with the ghosts. Because I don't want the ghosts to be... I want the ghosts to be white, because I think it'll stand out really well. And I still have to do the inside of all these windows in black. A lot of black, so... It's a little... It's definitely, before I was going to take my break, it's a little early. But I think I am going to call it here. I hate to call it early. It's one of those things I don't like to do. But I'm in pain. And I think that that's a better idea than holding it out. So, thanks for coming out if you came out. We're going to do a game tomorrow, so only a little bit of painting. And it should be fun. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a good day. Bye.